All right, Sam, we are live. Do you want to just quickly tell the people what your name is, what your company is, what you guys do, anything that you want to mention before we get started?
Yeah, so I'm Sam, founder of ArrowLink. We help companies raise capital. As an idea of what that looks like, it's essentially just lead generation for companies, but catered towards bringing them investors. Obviously, there's a little more that goes into it, but that's essentially the main focus. As an idea, we were doing lead generation before that, tested a bunch of different offers, and then this is where we got the most responses or the best responses, and then we sort of went full focus on this offer.
Okay, yeah, that's a great introduction. We actually had another guy who we did another interview with who actually does something similar to you. His name's Brian. So he does a lot of like these very interesting industries where he helps companies get funding and stuff like that. And me and Brian discussed a lot about like the idea of going up market, right? So I guess for you, was that kind of what happened to you? Did you start off maybe servicing like marketing agencies, like kind of those, not to say beginner industries, but that's kind of what they are, beginner industries, and then you moved up market, or did you just start testing stuff out like that?
Honestly, man, I came into this space, saw everyone doing marketing agencies, ecom. I honestly don't even know like what the offers are in those spaces. I got
Hmm.
into this cold email thing, went straight up market. At the start, I was just testing, crazy offers. I was running probably 3 or 4 different campaigns to all different industries, all different offers. One day I get on 4 different calls with a bunch of the most random different companies. On one hand, like a carbon offset project, and then a solar power
Hmm.
project, or a logging company, a textiles manufacturer. So literally went like straight up market. I wanted to avoid those, beginner industries or niches, like you said. Everyone
Hmm.
sort of does it, and I was
Yeah.
like, what's the point just doing what everyone else is doing? I thought try something new. Um, Probably the hardest part was going into it as a beginner, um, and
Okay.
trying to sell people, which was definitely the hardest part. It got to a point where I was, just really going into whatever industry gave me the best responses. That's the main idea of testing different offers. Um, and
Hmm.
then yeah, like I said, this is where I found the best responses.
Yeah, yeah, that's very interesting. I've actually never heard of someone who just went up market right away. You just completely skipped the first phase of like learning the grounds in regular, I guess, in regular industries, and then going for those more attractive industries. And I guess the main question that I would have for you then is like, how was the experience with closing? I'm guessing this isn't your first time running a business, then, right?
You'd be wrong. First business.
Wow.
So in terms of what it was like trying to close, it was hard. Um, you know,
Hmm.
Never taking a sales call before, and then jumping into a call with a company that's got 500 employees, and trying to
Yeah.
convince them I'm capable. Obviously for the first like month or two, I closed absolutely nothing.
Hmm.
But it was just a matter of putting in the reps. Getting on calls was the easy part for sure, and then selling them is the hard part. Um, but yeah, in terms of going up market and trying to sell, it was hard, but I got the reps in pretty quickly, which is good. And now yeah, I'm at a point, and we're at a point where we can get deals across the line. And yeah, sort of. So it probably would have been better. I'd say not better off going into those beginner spaces first, because I feel like for me,
Hmm.
I can learn pretty quickly. So I jumped right into the deep end. It's worked out pretty well so far. Um,
Hmm.
and I'm able to actually put trust in people when I speak to them now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, that's very impressive. So, hats off to you. Like never taking a sales call and then just getting on calls with companies making hundreds of millions of dollars is definitely an interesting thing to do. So, I mean, I'm glad that it worked out for you. And I know that right now, like particularly like on Twitter, like on pretty much all of the platforms where you see people talking about cold email, I know a lot of people are trying to go up market. It's kind of been like a trend almost, right? Where
Yeah.
people are starting to realize that, hey, there are better industries. But the problem that I'm seeing is that a lot of people who are trying to go up market are people that just have no idea what they're doing. Like there's guys like on Twitter that I know like do not know cold email because like they ask me like questions like where do I buy domains, and then I see them talking about the fact that they're supposedly working with VC firms to get them deals or some crazy companies. So that's why I asked you, did you have like experience in the
Yeah.
past, you know, before going into this upmarket industry? But that's very interesting to hear. Are you targeting like a specific type of company to help them get funding, or is it just anybody that wants funding?
Um, at the moment, no specific type of company. Like we'll reach out to any industry, aerospace, electric vehicles, whatever. The beauty of this offer, this service is it can benefit any company. We can reach out to anyone. We're not, just stuck to it to an industry or a niche, which is good. Um,
Mm-hmm.
to get onto calls if you're saying the right things and you got good deliverability as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very interesting. And I know that funding is a very good offer to sell. Like right now we actually right now currently work with one of the top PR firms for software companies, right, in the States. And the angle that we use in their cold emails is a lot of the time like, hey, do you want PR, to get you funding? And I mean, those guys, like the PR firm, like their PR has resulted in like companies getting hundreds of millions of dollars of like funding. So like I know like that, putting that in your emails and like doing that as an offer like could be killer. But to think that like you could even cut out like the part in between, which is like the mechanism to get the funding, and then you're literally just selling the funding, you're virtually just selling money,
Yeah,
which is a crazy offer when you think about it. You're literally selling somebody else's money. So, that is very, very intriguing. I think that everybody who is watching or anybody that's considering cold email should always look into these more upmarket industries. Um, but I guess what does your compensation look like? Because I know it's a little bit of like a gray area. You can't really take a percentage of funding that you generate. Like that's a legal gray area. So do you just have like a retainer, pay per call? What are you kind of doing in terms of that?
yeah. So we take fees up front. It's a setup fee one time, um, and then a consultancy fee. We call it of you could say a percentage of whatever money we bring in. Not supposed to be saying that, but that's yeah. Yeah. Maybe bleep that out. Yeah, we call
Yeah,
it
that's
a strategy fee or a consultancy fee. Yeah,
I got
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And what is like I guess like a typical successful funding round look like for you guys?
Um, Successful round is just bringing in probably the ideal and type of investor. Each company has a profile in mind. Um, it could be a VC, private equity, and obviously those investors need to have an understanding of the space, and who they're investing into as well. So we look at deal history, the mandate for these investors that we reach out to on behalf of the company, and make sure that every group we reach out to has previously put dollars into a company like our clients. And a successful round is obviously getting them getting them all the money they want in quick
Hmm.
succession. So whether that's in 90 days, 120 days, depending on the size of the raise.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, that's very interesting. And I guess considering they have like a ideal type of investors, that just I guess what you guys used to build a lead list, is it
Yeah.
just like their characteristics to what make a good investor?
Yeah, so it's they usually have some sort of idea. We use our own deductions. So when we go into databases, Crunchbase or PitchBook, we take that into account. We'll search for say VCs that have invested into EV companies, for example, at
Hmm.
at a certain stage. So early VC or late VC companies. It's how we pull our list, and then set up campaigns, run them through Smart Lead, and go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that sounds good, and I mean that sounds like such a, I guess, more fun industry to do marketing in too, because like you can only sell so many CRO and ecom offers before
Yeah,
you kind of want to quit on that industry. So And that makes a lot of sense. I'm guessing, or maybe I won't guess because I've been wrong so far. But do you like enjoy talking to these people? Because I feel like that's such an interesting angle. Because you're talking to like real entrepreneurs. Like you're not talking to some guy who lives in his mom's basement who runs like an e-com agency. Like you're talking about like real companies which are making an impact on the world. Like what is that like? On sales calls?
Yeah, I'm actually so glad you asked that because, like, you're spot on. It's so cool hearing what some of these people do. Um, I had a call with a guy the other day. I probably can't say on the call because of you know the nature of what they're doing, but it's fairly revolutionary to do with solar energy. They're looking to raise a bunch of money for it, and it's cool hearing what some of the ideas these people come up with. Some of them are fairly ridiculous. One guy he's got flying vehicles, flying electric vehicles.
Wow,
Yeah,
flying vehicles.
um,
That's a new
yeah,
one.
that was crazy. So yeah, you're right. You meet all kinds of people. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Because like you know, I've heard the same exact like we sell Facebook ads to e-com companies a million times now, and kind of sick of it now. So, I've heard enough of that, but that makes total sense. Like I see how that could be a very interesting angle to go after. I know also a lot of people like I know healthcare is a big sector that people go after. Like it's very hard to break into because obviously like they have like crazy privacy laws and stuff like that. But like to hear like all of these like medical advancements, these devices that like save people's lives and everything, like it's almost like your duty to do cold email correctly just to make sure that like all of these medical facilities get the right devices. So that's very interesting to hear. And I guess that ties me into my next question, which is like what made you join Lead Academy then? Because you obviously know a lot about sales, you know a lot about marketing. What kind of brought you into the program?
Um, just to learn how to do cold email, I knew
Wow.
literally knew nothing. A while ago, and
Mhm.
joined your joined the. I think I saw something on Twitter. I don't even remember what it was. Joined the Discord, and then um, I saw the course there. And it was literally step by step how to do cold email. I was like, perfect. Here's $50. Take it.
Yeah.
And for the $50, it was nothing compared to the value. Like literally, went from zero knowledge on how to do cold email to an expert. Um, and yeah, that was the main reason. And since then, it's been good. Any issue to do with campaigns, deliverability, anything like that, send a message into the chat. Someone's got a fix for it. Whether it's you or Tyler or just anyone in the group, there's always a good fix.
Yeah, man, that's honestly crazy to hear that you learned cold email from zero to 100 basically from just Lead Academy. So that's crazy to hear. And I say this on every one of the calls because like we have a lot of different type of people in Lead Academy, right? We have some people who join and they send me like these crazy messages saying that like, you know, cold email doesn't work, our trainings don't work, like marketing doesn't work. And it's so crazy for me to think that on one side of the spectrum, there's those people who claim that everything doesn't work. And then there's other people like you legitimately just didn't know cold email. Like you just didn't know it and you just joined and you just did it. And now you have this entire business centered around cold email just because you took the initiative to actually learn cold email, right?
Yeah,
So I guess the question for me is like, what's the difference between that bottom 1% of people who just like are literally like incapable of just like watching a video, and then the top 1% of people like you who are not only able to watch these videos but actually think for themselves and be like, okay, well, everybody does agencies, everybody charges little money, it's insignificant profits, why not take it up a notch, make my client 10 times more, and in result charge them 10 times more? And you did that. It's working. You're signing clients. I know you talked about like some crazy amount of calls in a week. Like, I think you said like 50 calls in a week or something you had, right? And it's working just so well. And I feel like this is a testament to the person who joins the coaching program matters more than the coaching program, like by a lot, right? Because I think that no matter what information you put in one of these programs, like it's the person who's watching it who's really going to make the difference. And it's crazy for me to think because you also went through the first version of Lead Academy. We're relaunching Lead Academy by the end of this month, and the new cold email section is the size of the current entire course. So like you can imagine how much more specific it gets and talking about like all these things that we're talking about. So I'm really excited about that. But again, that's for the future. I don't want to make this about Lead Academy. But tell me, like, what was? I remember you saying something. It was in the chat, or you told me personally. You said you had like 25 or like 30 calls or 50 calls in a week. What was the number?
Yeah, 1 week I counted before. It was like 47 or something ridiculous. Even today, I had 8 back to back, one after the other, 30-minute calls. Um, that was ridiculous. I'm sorry, tired, to be honest. But but that's honestly just a testament to having good deliverability, hitting everyone's inbox. Obviously, you got to have a good offer, and good presence, but none of that matters unless you're hitting inboxes. And like you said, the person that watches the videos really matters. I think I'm definitely a quick learner. I can, for the most part, understand technical things. I'm not saying a tech nerd, but I can understand the technical side of things. That definitely helps.
Mhm.
I don't know. I jumped right into the course, and it sort of just clicked from day one, and then
Mhm.
just straight just took action. Obviously, made plenty of mistakes along the way. Setting up campaigns wrong, but I learned pretty quickly, and now I've got it down pat. Even still sometimes make little mistakes, but at least I know what the issue is. But yeah, definitely right. It definitely matters the kind of person. I think you've either got it or you don't. To be honest, and not to say you
Yeah,
can't do cold email if you don't understand cold email. Just go find someone who understands it better than you do and get them to run it for you.
of course.
Um, but yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah, yeah. That's definitely very interesting to hear. I mean, 47 calls in a week is insane, especially considering the industry you're booking these calls in. These aren't like marketing agencies. These are real like companies which make a lot of money. So that's great. And then what do you do in terms of sending infrastructure? Like
Um,
do you use Google accounts, Outlook? What are you kind of on right now?
a wide mix. So I'm using Google for the most part. Some Outlook inboxes and um, the I don't even know what you call it. I don't know what you guys call it. The Will's solution. I think you guys know Will. The Superwave
Yeah,
alternative.
the reseller.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Oh, the Evo solution.
yeah,
Evo.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's working. It's
Okay.
actually working pretty well these days, to be honest. Got them running for a client. One of their campaigns is like 6% reply rate, 57% positive reply rate, which is pretty good.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I like to keep it. I like to keep the infrastructure sort of mixed. If Google's not doing well, at least I've got Google, and vice versa.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And then for the Google accounts, are you just buying them directly from Google or do you go through a reseller?
Yeah, the reseller. Which is good being in Lead Academy. You guys got the discount in there, which is which is
Oh,
which is
you use the
terrific.
premium inboxes
Yeah, yeah,
reseller,
yeah,
the one that really partner with the academy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I was wondering because there's a lot of Google resellers. So obviously they're not the only ones, but from our experience, like testing literally like every possible reseller in the book, they are the best one that we've seen, and they're also all U.S. and European based IP. So that's probably why you're seeing like those good campaigns.
Yeah.
And of course, you get that huge discount, 25% by being in Lead Academy. So that makes total sense. I mean, it makes sense why everything is working for you. I
Yeah,
mean, in the end of the day, like you're selling something valuable to someone who makes a lot of money. They can afford to pay you what you want. You're giving them something which actually works. Like cold email is the channel that works very well, and there's not really much ways to replicate what you do with cold email. Like what specifically for like cap raising, like you're targeting a very specific type of person, like a very specific type of investor. You can't just do that with Facebook ads. You can't just do that with Google ads. You know what I mean? So like cold email is really the only channel, like I would say in the world that can do something like that aside from maybe cold calling. But it makes sense. You're targeting people that need your service with a good offer. You're putting everything in place, and it just works. So I'm not surprised that it is working. I guess from you, what I would want to what I would want to hear is, do you have any advice for people who want to get into, I guess, cap raising or just something similar to what you do? Because there's not much information on that sector of cold email on the internet.
Yeah. I'd say to get into cap raising without knowing the sort of half of the ins and outs and sort of how it works is difficult. And unless you know people already doing it and people who have done it, I would probably recommend staying away from it.
Mhm.
But that's not to say, don't go into to up markets or don't go find people already doing it and ask them for help. Um,
Mhm.
but I would, you have to look at it from a business perspective and an economics perspective. Just look where the money is. Just don't copy everyone else. There's millions of businesses around the world
Yeah.
that have pain points and they need solutions. And with cold email, you can solve a lot of those problems. If a if
Mhm.
a if a logging company needs to sell more timber, you connect them to a buyer. If a manufacturer needs a distributor overseas, you connect them to a distributor. It doesn't have to just be
Mhm.
marketing and e-com agencies. You can literally service any company in the world. Basically, you're just connecting them to another company. That's not too difficult.
Of course. Yeah, and I think that what you just said is very very important, which is like, don't do what everybody else does. I've seen a lot of people in the cold email world use the logic of like, this authority figure does agencies, so I should do agencies, right? And I've seen tons of people who just like blindly follow what somebody else does just because of who that person is, right? Like, I'm not going to say any names specifically, but like, there's big players in cold email. Like, they can post like, okay, like half of my clients are agencies. And then all of the people who look up to that person are be like, okay, well, then I have to work with agencies. When in reality, like, that person doesn't just set the maximum limit of like what you can do. Like, nobody sets your limit. Like, your limit is like a self proclaimed like thing. Like, you can just not do what everybody else does, which is the craziest concept, because it's like, it's in plain sight. If you want to make more money, go do industries where people make more money.
Yeah,
Yet it's so unknown. So I mean, that's really good to hear, Sam. I mean, thank you for everything that you've shared. I guess my last question for you, and I know we went over our time here a little bit, but would you recommend people join Lead Academy?
100%. For a bunch of different reasons. If you're like me and you just don't want to be, for me, it's just staying tapped into cold email and the technical side of things, and keeping up deliverability. Essentially, that's what I need it for. And to be honest, I don't even get as much value out of it as I could. I know you guys have the scrapers in there and all that. I don't even use that. So there's definitely people who could find even more value out of it than I do. I just like to stay tapped into everything, know the ins and outs of cold email and where I could be lacking and what works and what doesn't. It's always good to see, like, you guys have your announcements, some, occasionally about what's working with cold email, what infrastructure is working, what
Mhm.
infrastructure isn't. It's always good, if I want to buy more inboxes, then I know what to avoid and what to go towards, which is good. So from that
Mhm.
aspect, I definitely would recommend it for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that's great to hear. Really helpful. I hope that people who are watching this video who can get benefit, then they'll use your testimony as a reason to give it a try. I mean, again, for anybody who is interested, there is a 7 day no questions asked money back guarantee. So just try it. That's all we ask. If you don't like it, like, we'll give you your money back. There's no problem. So I mean, that's how I want to end off this video. But Sam, thank you for your time. Thank you for the value that you shared with everybody. We'll end it off here, and you and I can have a conversation after about what we discussed before, and we'll just go from
Yeah.
there.
Thank you.
Sure thing. All right. Thank you guys for watching.